From the Florida Today newsroom, this is the Florida Today Show.
New restaurants opening, an electronic member of a restaurant's wait staff, credit card processing fees, and so much more. Welcome to the Florida Today Show. I'm Rob Landers. This week I wanted to bring you some insight into new eateries and bars on the Space Coast, but like with every conversation I have with food editor Suzy Fleming Leonard, the discussion diverges into several different tangents. But I guess that's what happens when you put two longtime co-workers and friends together for topics they are both passionate about. By the end of the conversation, you'll hear us talk about new restaurants in Brevard, a Rockledge gas station, new cookies and cakes coming to Vieira, and a reference to the movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Watch. Suzy, I know this week you had your 25 new restaurants on the Space Coast that have opened in 2022, end of 2021. Talk to me about that story. What is booming on the Space Coast right now?
Well, you know, I had planned to do a what's opening story every month, but I was having trouble keeping up. There were so many new places opening, and they're really, you know, we really have had more than 25 restaurants and bars that have opened since the first of the year. And it's just kind of crazy that we're booming that much.
So we're talking everything, right? We're talking from high end to counter service to pubs and bars. What?
Absolutely. We're talking like there's a little ice cream shop that is opening inside Jones Perfect Pies in O'Galley. So we have everything from things like that and Burger Rob's, which was a popular food truck for the past couple of years. The food truck is still there, but now they've opened a brick and mortar restaurant in Titusville too. And, you know, they're just places like the Daily Trade. This was a place that opened in the middle of the pandemic, and they were doing bread and fresh pasta deliveries. And now they have a brick and mortar place also in Titusville. And we've got a couple of riverfront places that have opened. There's this Dolphins waterfront bar and grill that opened on the Barge Canal on Merritt Island. We've got a high-end cocktail bar, a speakeasy in O'Galley that is just one of the coolest places I've been to in years. It's called Lourdes Library, and you have to go in and buy a library card. You can either get a library card that's good for a week, or you can buy an annual library card, but you have to have a membership to go in and get some of their high-end cocktails and check out the cool atmosphere, because it really is a cool atmosphere. We're also seeing some places that seeing some faces that we've missed. The owner of the former owner of Vieira Pizza has opened a place called Mr. Delicious Pizza. He is if you do any running in the area, if you've done 5Ks and things like that, you've seen Mike, and he kind of got the nickname Mr. Delicious when he was running because he sponsored some of the races and things like that. And so he decided to take that nickname and turn it into a new business. So it really just kind of runs the gamut.
I mean, when he owned Vieira Pizza, I mean, and he would be out running his races, he would be wearing his T-shirt on the races, best gas station pizza ever. So, very familiar with Mike.
Well, and he's not in a gas station anymore.
He's not in a gas station anymore.
No.
I want to go back to the Lourdes Library and the whole concept of membership. It's funny. People kind of roll their eyes at things like that, but when you think about, drinking around the world at Epcot, I mean, you're paying admission to the park, and then you're paying for all those drinks as you go around the park. So, it's the benefit of Epcot without me having to drive all the way to Orlando. So,
well, and I interviewed the owners of Lourdes Library, and they also own the Salty Fox, which is kind of across the street. And the Salty Fox is a place where you can go in your schlubby T-shirt and your gym shorts, and you won't be out of place, and you can have drinks and you can have something to eat, and it's a great place to hang out and have fun. They wanted Lourdes Library to be kind of an upgrade. And if you have to pay $5 to go in, that's before you buy the drinks. And the drinks are not cheap. I mean, this is not your bourbon and Coke kind of place. These are high-end craft cocktails. So you're not going to get out of there for less than $20, and that's with maybe 2 drinks. But so if you're spending that kind of money, then you appreciate it a little more. You dress better, and you might tend to behave a little better. It's not a place where you're just going to get sloppy drunk and dance on the tables and things like that.
Oh, I don't know. We're talking Brevard County, Suzy. I'm pretty sure there's going to be people that will find a way to get sloppy drunk in that bar.
Well, possibly.
but back to the membership. I mean, $5. I mean, a $5 cover isn't any big deal either. So I mean,
exactly.
And if you're telling me that I can pay an annual fee and my cover charge is going to be waived, okay, that I get that too. If I'm going to be in the market for high-end drinks that often in the O'Galley area. So
exactly.
I get that.
They give you a library card. It's really cute.
Where is this place exactly in O'Galley?
Oh my goodness. Exactly. You can't just go there. You have to find it. You have to it.
Okay.
Okay. If you're on, where the Funky Dog Improv.
Yes.
You know where that is?
Yes.
Oh, and there's a mural that's on the side of that building that has the little girls flying.
Yes.
Okay. So there's an alleyway where that mural is. You go down that alley, and then there's this little kind of strip center that has 4 or 5 businesses in it, and Lourdes Library is in there.
Okay, so it is fulfilling all of your gangster vibe feelings going down a back alley. Do I have to knock and give a password when I get to the door? Like,
no, well,
hey, Mac.
You don't have to give a password, but you do have to tell them the book of the week. So if you follow Lourdes Library on Facebook, they post every week. They post a book of the week. So you go in, and they have a librarian sitting there at an old-fashioned manual typewriter, and you give the librarian your book of the week, and
That sounds like a password.
I know. And so then you are given the opportunity to purchase a library card, and then she will open the hidden door. And yes, there is a hidden door.
See, now I'm torn between that sounds like Harry Potter and that's too much work. So
it's awesome though, because it's just so well done. And she'll open the hidden door, and you walk into this place, and it's really cool.
Nice. So what other places are we looking at, Suzy? Where am I looking at eating this weekend that's maybe something different that I haven't tried before?
Well, one place, and I have not been there yet either. So if you want to go with me, you can. There's this place called Muggsy's on Main, which is on New Haven Avenue in downtown Melbourne. And it's in that space where Island Pasta used to be, and it was where Quarters was for a little while, Quarters Brewery Arcade. And I've looked at their menu, and they just have a really interesting menu with some kind of cool and interesting seafood choices and sandwiches and burgers, and they do craft cocktails too. And I don't know if you remember this space, but it's kind of 2 distinct places there.
Oh yeah, I remember it as both Island Pasta and as Quarters.
And there's the little alleyway that runs between it, and on one side it's more of a bar, and they have a small menu that's mostly appetizer kind of things and sandwiches.
Right.
They have Bonnie and Clyde. So one side is more restaurant, and the other side is more cocktail bar with music and things like that.
Okay.
So that's a place that I'm really excited to try out.
That would definitely be a place that you and I would have to try out on our own, because the significant other is not a fan of seafood. So,
well, they have other things, but
okay.
And another place place, have you been to Rebellion Wine Bar yet?
I haven't yet, and I keep hearing really good things, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, tonight's going to be our night to go, and they're closed for a private event, and then I have not been yet, but
It's really neat. It's a cool place.
let's talk about Rebellion. What's good? What's good eats?
Well, they have it's not a menu because again, it's not. They don't have a huge kitchen, and it's amazing to me what these restaurant owners and these chefs can come up with these tiny little kitchens that some of these restaurants have. But they have this grilled cheese sandwich, and I think they call it a melt. They don't, because they're fancier than to just call it grilled cheese. But it's this grilled cheese sandwich that has really good cheese, and it has bacon on it, and it has bacon jam, and it is just delicious. It's so good. And then they just have a really interesting wine list and some different things that you may not see in other restaurants. And I don't know, it's just a fun, cool place.
I'm gonna have to get in there because if you watch last week's episode with Tyler Vasquez, you know this already because you're tuned in the village, but Cocoa Village is about to explode with people and the apartments that are proposed to go in, and the hotel that's proposed to go in, and the Starbucks that's proposed to go in, and the new parking spaces that are being purchased, and Cocoa Village is about to just completely explode. If you're watching this week's episode, please go back and watch last week's episode so you can be all caught up on everything that's happening in Cocoa Village. Where else in the county should we look, Suzy? It can't be limited to downtown districts.
Titusville is having some interesting things happen there. They had Hoffman's Table, which opened downtown at the end of last year, which is just a really, cool restaurant that has it's not super expensive, but it just has a higher end kind of classier vibe. And I really enjoyed my dinner that I had there. And of course, the newest place that has opened in Titusville is the Space Bar. And I'm afraid to go there right now because I would just imagine it is the most crowded place in Brevard County. But
that's the place that's at the top of the hotel?
Yes, it's a courtyard. And it's the Courtyard Titusville Kennedy Space Center. And I believe it opened on April the 8th. But it's a beautiful hotel. It's right on the river. It's at the intersection of US 1 and State Road 405, kind of there by the airport. You know what I'm talking about?
Kind of there, right as you're about to turn to go to Kennedy Space Center.
Yes, exactly. And there's this. It looks like an industrial park, like a business park, and you turn down that road, and there's this brand new hotel that just opened. And they have on the rooftop, it's called the Space Bar. And it's one of the coolest, hippest places. They have this giant mural of an astronaut walking on the moon. So you can go and take a picture of the astronaut. But then it faces the launch pad. You just have the clearest view of the launch pads of anything I've ever seen.
On this side of the river.
On this side of the
a bar.
At a bar,
right? Because there are other places along the river in Titusville where you have really clear, good views of the launch pads. But where else are you going to get served a cocktail while you're sitting there waiting? This place also,
they have bleachers.
This place also has a separate entrance just to go to the bar, right?
They do. They have an express elevator, and I asked them. I said, okay. And I said, do you take reservations? And they said, no, it's first come, first serve. And I was trying to be delicate. And I'm like, so you do realize that this place is just going to be overwhelmingly packed, right? And I think it holds about 200 people. But you've been in Brevard County for a launch before. You know how we love our launches. And a place like this where you can watch it, what is your contingency plan?
You're going to have people showing up at noon for a 9 o'clock p.m. launch.
Oh, absolutely.
Easily. And just hanging out all day, drinking and snacking and waiting for this launch to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the rooftop doesn't open until 4. But yeah, you're gonna have people lined up outside that elevator at 10 o'clock in the morning waiting to get up on there. But he says, come look over here. And we walked to the edge of the roof and looked out, and they just have a whole, I mean, they're right on the river, and they've cleared some of the underbrush from around the river. So he says, look at the riverbank right there. And he says, people can go there. And they have a downstairs restaurant as well as the upstairs restaurant. And he says, and you can order stuff on your phone and we'll bring it out to you.
Well, okay, so they've got ample waiting room. I mean, like it sounds like these folks took some queue waiting suggestions from Disney and really kind of created an event atmosphere kind of around waiting to get up to the bar.
Oh, absolutely. Or, I mean, you can just stand down there and you can see the launch pads from downstairs from the.
Yeah, but that's no fun. I mean, if I'm gonna sit and wait, for ground floor, on the ground viewing, I'll just go up US 1 and just park my car on the side of the road and just, watch the launch.
But this hotel is owned by Delaware North, and that's the company that handles all the concessions and everything for Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center. So, and this is not their first rodeo. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
And they know, they've handled launches before.
Correct.
They know what to expect. So.
Right. Okay, so Suzy, last week I believe you had an article on a nifty new employee at Red Ginger. Do you want to talk a little bit about your buddy that you met?
I asked the owner of Red Ginger. I said, does it have a name? And she said they haven't named it yet, but they have a robot, and they have a robot waiter, and it's the coolest thing. And there've been a lot of people that they're like, oh, well, they're just taking jobs away from people. It's coming. Before long, we won't have any human waiter. But it's not like that. It's not taking away a server's job. It's helping the servers who are there. And I talked to one of the servers, and she said she loves it. She said it's making her life so much easier because now instead of having to carry 4 or 5 heavy plates and these trays and making 3 trips out from the kitchen and everybody getting their food at different times, she just loads all of the plates onto this robot. I think it had 4 shelves. So she loads the plates onto the robot. She pushes a button and tells it which table to go to. And then the robot just takes off out of the kitchen, and she may stop by the bar and refill a couple of drinks and, grab a pitcher of water. And then she meets the robot at the table and takes all the dishes off so everybody gets their food all at one time. And she's not having to carry the heavy plates, and she's not risking running into somebody, that's shorter than her, so it's just, I don't know, it's just a cool thing. I'm gonna go back to something you said earlier because I'm a little baffled by this. The whole concept of, the robot's taking away somebody's job. Okay, hold up. So we have restaurants in Brevard County that cannot find adequate staff. So we're complaining that nobody wants to work, but then you have this restaurant that buys a robot to help the staff they do have, and now it's now you're replacing jobs with a robot. You can't have it both ways. No, you can't. And when I was in there, and I was talking to Grace Hahn, who's the owner of Red Ginger, and the people who were in there the robot would come, and it's on wheels, and it's just like comes rolling out of the kitchen, and everybody would, they would be talking, and they would pull out their cell phones and they're shooting video and taking pictures, and they all had these giant smiles on their faces, and I don't know, it made everybody in the restaurant happy.
Well, I mean, so I was on a trip to South Florida late last year. And I think I sent you the video of the robot in the Cuban restaurant I was in that was serving dishes. And I mean, you can't help it. You're like, what is that? And it literally looks like Wall-E is rolling out and bringing food to your table. Like, yeah, I mean, because I had that same experience the first time I saw one of these robots in action. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool. So, like, I get it. I still laugh over they're taking jobs away. We can't fill the jobs anyway.
Oh, exactly. And the servers, they said it makes it so that they can be more attentive to their tables. It gives
it also takes
them more time to.
It literally and figuratively takes a weight off of their shoulders because they're no longer having to schlep these plates out of the kitchen. The plates actually arrive to the table hot. They come directly from the kitchen out. Like, so, if I'm a server and I'm there and, the chef has sent this thing out to my table, I'm like, oh, crap, let me get over there. I mean, yeah.
And if you're like my friend Connie, who does not ever pick up her fork until everyone at the table has their plate in front of them, then you don't have to eat cold food because you're sitting there, your plate arrives first, and the server has to go back 2 or 3 times to get everybody else's plates.
Your friend Connie, who is sitting there not picking up her fork, wearing her Lily Pulitzer, doing her best job with her bless her heart, not doing anything until everybody else is served.
Exactly.
The queen of Southern etiquette and politeness. Yes, exactly. we are aware of your friend Connie. Suzy, what else do you have coming up in the next week or so that our subscribers and readers would be interested in hearing about?
Well, I just did an interview about credit cards, and have you seen any of the chatter on our Facebook group, our 321 Flavor?
I have, but I have also been out at a restaurant this week that had the bill came to the table and it had a credit card processing fee on the receipt before we even pulled the credit card out. But go ahead, yes.
Well, and I can't speak to that because I haven't talked to any of the restaurant owners yet. Not for this specific story. I did talk with a restaurant owner a few months back, and he said that by charging or by giving a cash discount. So, did you see my dog? There
I am.
Hi, Eli. He said that by giving a cash discount, basically 3% discount for paying cash, he is saving about $100,000 a year.
Wow.
And I mean, and that's significant for us.
It's significant in an industry where, I mean, your margins are really, really tight anyway. Unless we're talking about liquor sales, but when you're talking about food sales, you're talking about a very, very tight margin anyway, and that's a lot of money for a restaurant to give away to credit card companies. I mean, that's
exactly. And this is something I didn't realize, but when you swipe your credit card, 3 people get paid for every time. And I'm not talking about the merchant, but every time you swipe your credit card, 3 different people get paid. First of all, the brand, MasterCard or Visa, or the logo that's on your card gets a fee. The bank that issued your card gets a fee. And then the credit card processing company that handles your credit card stuff, they get a fee. And so, it's 1%, 2% here, 13 cents on every $100 there. That adds up. And especially if you're if you're one of these restaurants where everybody does, you have a $15 tab and you pay it with your credit card. That's a lot of money that they can be saving if they're having somebody else pay the credit card fee. I don't know I'm not a business person. I'm just somebody who writes about businesses, but it's a convenience. You have the option of bringing cash, and the man that I talked with, he's with a company that provides the merchandising services, which is the credit card so that you can pay with the credit card terminals, basically, is what.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. And the thing is that, it's not a restaurant's fault that I don't feel comfortable carrying cash anymore. I mean, I just don't. I don't ever carry cash on me. And it's that's not the restaurant's fault. And if they're getting charged extra, I can understand why they're passing that on to me, who is very happy to pull my plastic out of my wallet because I don't carry cash. So
Well, exactly.
yeah.
And people say, well, why not just add it in? It's the cost of doing business. Well, say I don't mind carrying cash. Why should I have to pay your credit card fees? Why should
Right.
I add it onto my bill if I'm willing to pay cash? And, my dog groomer, you just saw my beautiful standard poodle. It's not cheap to groom that dog. And my dog groomer, now if you write a check, you don't pay a fee. If you pay with credit card, then it costs a little bit more. And I didn't even think twice about dropping my checkbook in my purse every time I go take him to the groomer. So same with gas stations, they give you the option. You can pay cash and it's this much cheaper. And nobody complains about that. So why is it?
I do.
You
I
do.
do. Yes, but it's because of the gas station by my house. And you know which gas station I'm talking about. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but the gas station by my house charges more to use the credit card, and quite frankly, they charge more for gas than anywhere else in Rockledge. And people who live in Rockledge know exactly which gas station I'm talking about. I don't even have to say the name. So, but yes, I raise an eyebrow at the cash bonus because, I mean, with gas stations in particular, I'm not going in. You're not paying an employee to have to deal with me going in and asking to ring up my gas or do my prepay because I'm paying at the pump. Like there's no interaction. At the same time, I do get that when I'm paying with a credit card and I'm paying at the pump, I'm also not going in and paying the overhead, the higher, the markup on a soda or a bag of chips or any of the other convenience things that is the bread and butter of a convenience store. So I get it. It's just that one gas station. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. But you know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay, well, Suzy, this has been a fun conversation. Is there anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. I will say that there is a place called Crumble Cookie that's opening at the Avenue Vieira sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I have never heard of this place. I have never been to this place. I know nothing about this place. But
Is this the cake? This is the cake place.
No, it's cookies. Crumble Cookie. They make cookies.
They don't have the bundt cakes?
No, that's nothing but cakes. That's fall.
That's opening the fall. Okay.
That's opening in the fall.
Because on that same trip to South Florida that I was talking about earlier, I had the bundt cakes.
Nothing but cake is awesome.
You ask for extra icing on those things, and I promise you will.
But these are two places that people are looking forward to opening.
Very, very much so. I have heard about both. But the nothing but cakes is the one that is on the radar of my circle.
And you're saying bundt, right? Bundt.
Yes, bundt.
Bundt.
Bundt. Yes, bundt. Oh, I know, like big fat Greek, my big fat Greek wedding. Yes. What is it? It's a bundt. 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 Oh, I know. It's a cake. Yes. Yeah. Suzy, I don't know why, but every time I talk to you, we go off on weird tangents. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to reading your stories coming up in the next couple days on the credit card fees.
Absolutely.
Right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Remember, I did warn you about those tangents. My thanks to Suzy for joining me this week. If you have any questions about any of our food and dining coverage, you can reach Suzy at sleonard@floridatoday.com. As for questions about the Florida Today Show, you can always reach out to me at rlanders@floridatoday.com or come see me in person in the role of Nostradamus next Friday when the historic Cocoa Village Playhouse opens its production of Something Rotten. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching.